2022. We'll begin the meeting at 6:31 with a pledge to this Pledge of Allegiance led by City Clerk Dolores Peterson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. If we can have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Strong.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Present.
Stransky.
Yes.
Connie.
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes. Did you hear me?
Yeah, Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes. Sounds like a little technical difficulty. All right. Next is public communication. So the City Council welcomes participation in its meetings. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person so that everyone has an opportunity to address the council. To expedite matters and avoid repetition whenever any group of persons wishes to address the council on the same subject matter, the mayor will request the group appoints a spokesperson. The item is limited to matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council, which are not on the posted agenda. Public criticism of the City Council, Commission, boards, and agencies will not be prohibited. The City Council cannot take action. I've entered in the chat bar on the right. If you're joining us through Zoom, you can enter any agenda item number to the right, and I'll call on you. And then you'll also have an opportunity to speak on any agenda item if you're on the phone. I usually call on the chat bar first. So with this being public communication, I don't see anything in the chat bar. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the council? All right, I see.
Yes.
Go ahead.
If you guys can hear me?
Yes, I recognize Jay McCubbin. Welcome.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate your time tonight. My name is Jay McCubbin. I work with a project called Tobacco Free North Coast. We're funded by the California Department of Public Health to assist jurisdictions throughout from Del Mar County to Lake County, Mendocino County, develop, adopt, and implement public health policies that prevent tobacco use. I've been in the business a long time, 30 years now. Can't believe it myself. Youth smoking rates were way down. We were actually this close to the first tobacco-free generation. But electronic smoking devices have changed all of that. And Willits, I'm sure, is not immune from what the U.S. Surgeon General declared a national youth vaping epidemic way back in 2018. Ask any teacher or ask any kid how bad youth vaping is when kids can't sit through a class without going outside to take a hit, or kids that go into the bathrooms that are filled with clouds of vape. It's all because of candy-flavored nicotine. It doesn't have to be that way. Tobacco retail licensing is an excellent vehicle to hitch a policy that eliminates these dangerous and addictive products. Just look at what Mendocino County has done. And there's no better time to do it now, because there are, in addition to the county tobacco control program, there are 3 other projects that are funded in Mendocino County, including my own, Tobacco Free North Coast, to assist jurisdictions in developing and implementing these policies. I hope that Greg is here on the line to speak next, because this gentleman has years of experience as the tobacco control, tobacco retail licensing policy director and implementation expert in Sonoma County. And he is now working with Blue Zones Mendocino and Tobacco Free North Coast. And so, bottom line, and thank you again, is we're here to help. And anything you guys need from us is a simple ask. We're there on the ground helping you get the job done. So thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Greg Damron.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity to share this evening. I just want to mention that Willits has a really high density of tobacco retailers in the city. If we compare it to California, there's 1.8 retailers per 1,000 people across California. In Mendocino County, there's 1.4 retailers per 1,000. That's across the county. In Willits, there's 3.1. So there's a high density of tobacco retailers, and 60% of these are within 1,000 feet of a school. And with that, you get a lot of foot traffic as well as students accessing those stores. I have spoken to teenagers, and in one particular one has shown me just how easy it is to buy from Willits stores. And flavors are the issues. Most of the hot products that are super popular now weren't even in these stores 2.5 years ago. So that just shows how the tobacco industry is exploiting youth use. Most of the users of these flavored products are youth. So this is a huge problem, and it's time to join the movement that's happening across Northern California, and that is flavor bans, getting these flavored products out of our local stores. It's not going to solve the entire teen and youth vaping problem. There are many angles to solving that problem, but we need to close that gap where we have these products that are so easily accessible to local teens, and they're super popular, and teens are getting access to these at our local retailers in Willits. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Damron. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? All right, having heard none further, we'll move on to public matters, which we do not have any this evening. We don't have any enactment of ordinances before us, but we do have on the consent calendar the City Council minutes of the meeting of July 27th, 2022. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll second it. There was I just want to remind, there is a correction to the minutes that was identified by Member Strong that came after the packet went out. City Clerk will read what that correction is, or that addition to the minutes, and then we can get a council action on that.
I received an email from Councilmember Strong on Monday, and she requested that the sentence.
We can't hear Dolores.
Sorry, how's that? Is that better? The addition is Councilmember Strong raised a question about the interpretation of the council's April 13th action approving the operational use plan regarding circumstances of use vis-a-vis monthly average usage, and requested the council agendize an item to clarify the policy, but no other council members concurred.
All right, with that correction to the minutes, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Gonzalez would like to move with the correction.
Larry, second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address us on the minutes? All right. Anybody from the council have further comment? Then I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Strong,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Stransky,
Yes.
Connie,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes. All right, monthly activity reports. We've already, those are usually done at our second meeting of the month. Commissions, agencies, and authorities. We have no business this evening before us. We have a lighter agenda this evening. So we're moving on to item number 8, which is the city manager reports and recommendations. And I'll turn it over to City Manager Brian Bender.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I think continuing on the theme of a light night, I don't have much items to put forward. I think the last couple of weeks, the council received some updates from myself, so that's the content there. Nothing else to bring forward. The renovations at City Hall are proceeding. We just had an update this afternoon about some slight changes we want to incorporate into the final plan. Seems that's possible. Looks like the light at the end of the tunnel is approaching. We should have the project finalized by mid or end of September. So it's coming together rather nicely. And once again, I appreciate the patience of the public as we work through this, and as well as staff that has put the effort into it. So that's what I have for tonight.
Thank you, City Manager Bender. All right, moving on. Oh, any questions from council members about his report? All right, moving forward, department recommendations. We have item 9A, adopt a resolution approving final plans and specifications for the groundwater resiliency improvement project phase 1, project number 2022-03, and awarding a construction contract to Walland Construction Inc. in an amount not to exceed $466,880,000, contingent on the issuance of 401 and 404 permits for the project, and authorize the city manager to execute the contract and approve construction change orders up to the cumulative total of 10% of the total contract amount. Our presenting staff member will be Rod Wilburn, our city engineer.
I just want to jump in real quick, Madam Mayor. Rod Wilburn is not going to present tonight. Scott, are you on?
This is Andrea. I was planning to cover this one, if that's okay.
No, you got it. It's all yours.
Okay, great. This is Andrea Trincato, project manager, and this item is an award of contract to Wallen Construction for a not to exceed amount of $466,880 for phase 1 of the groundwater resiliency improvement project. The project will replace 3,600 feet of 6-inch schedule 40 pipe with 10-inch HDPE pipe. Staff is recommending this award contingent on the approval of the 401 and 404 permits, which are anticipated in early September. There were 3 bids received, and Walland was the lowest bid. And after evaluating the bids, their bid was determined to be the lowest responsive bid. And with that, I just want to say that I'm available to answer any questions council may have.
Yes, Andrea, this is Larry.
Gonzalez?
Larry Stransky. I have a question. We're going with 10-inch. Is that going to be the where it makes the turn? Is it also going to be 10-inch, or is it going to be 8? You understand what I'm saying?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean by the turn.
Okay. And when we have a picture of it, it's going to make a turn instead of going. It's going to turn and go up on our plan. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, you're saying the northern extent. There is basically a 45 that goes towards the well.
That's right.
From the long 20. Yeah. So the entire extent will
probably not correct.
So the 10-inch, I think we've discussed this at a previous council meeting, but it's the interior diameter is closer to the 8-inch, which extends basically south of this project site. We're connecting to 8-inch C900. So the 10-inch HDPE has a thicker outer diameter, and the capacity of the interior of the pipe is more similar to the 8-inch that we're going to be connecting to.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yeah, Andrea, two questions. One, are you going to be the project person in charge of this project? And number two, do you see it being completed during this budget period? I know that you've got to wait of the permit, but will this be during this construction season, or will it overlap and still within the same budget?
Yeah, so, if all goes as planned with the permits, we're waiting to receive the permits, and we have gotten, a good indication that they should be in by September. If that all goes as planned, it will be constructed this season, and I would oversee the project, but we would rely on construction management help, inspection, likely from LACO, and that will be a reimbursable item, as well as the pipeline construction that is built into the Proposition 1 grant, and I'm glad you brought that up. So we have a grant for $551,000, and there's a portion of that grant has been already spent, but it's not a significant portion. So most of this project, including some of the construction management, will be a reimbursable expense.
Thank you.
All right. Any other council members with clarifying questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I so move, Larry.
Thank you, Madam
All right, we have a motion.
Well,
Do you have a clarifying question?
I was wondering if we shouldn't, as a matter of course, ask for any public comments before we do a motion, and then we have council comments. I'm wondering when council comments come in, but I also wanted to hear if there were any public comments.
Well, generally you entertain a motion, and once there's a motion on the table, then you open it up to the public for public comment, and then bring it back to the council. Councilmember Gonzalez, did you second that motion?
I did.
Okay. And so I can go ahead and open it up to the public now. Are there members of the public that would like to address us on this matter? If so, you can note in the chat, or you can announce your name and we'll call on you. All right, it doesn't appear we have any callers, and we have no notation of anything in the chat. So I'll bring it back to council. Is there anybody from the council that would like to share? Councilmember Strong? That's all you.
Thank you. Thank you. So just a couple things. One is that I'm very glad that we have a backup system for water supply, and I do feel that the current capacity prior to completion of this project provides that backup system adequately for emergencies. So I don't know that I am thrilled about expanding that capacity, but in particular, I'm concerned about expanding the capacity without any guidance on possible restraints due to the hydrology, which has not been completely updated or, in my opinion, adequately studied, and that the both the environmental document and the operational use plan don't, in my opinion, provide the kind of caution that I think is warranted given the possibility that our aquifer could be tainted if we overdraw. And it's one of these things where we won't know until it might happen. It's a little unsettling to me. So I am concerned about that, and I would really like to put on on our thinking caps about the idea of the targeted hydrologic aquifer study that was mentioned when we had our hearing, that I think only costs about $10,000, and it looks at the cone of depression, which affects whether it's a closed or an open aquifer, and that determines how big the circumference of the potential impact that drawing water down would have. And I am also very glad that we will be doing a lot of monitoring and all of that, so that by the end of this year, we might have some additional data. But if there's a value in getting that 10,000, roughly, pretty low-cost hydrologic study, I would like to just have our staff consider that. Given my concern about the sort of risk that we might be running, I am not going to vote for this, as I said. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Strong. Are there any other council members who would like to speak? Vice Mayor Connie?
Thank you. I share some of Councilwoman Strong's concerns, as I have voiced in previous discussions about the groundwater treatment plant. I appreciate the fact that this is being paid for by grant money. I appreciate staff efforts, and I have nothing against the contractor who has submitted the reasonable bid, but I will be voting no.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Connie. Any other further comments from council members? All right, I'll call for the vote of the adoption of the resolution approving final plans and specifications for the groundwater resiliency improvement project and the awarding of the construction contract.
Councilmember Strong?
No.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Stransky?
Yes.
Connie?
No.
Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes. All right, thank you all for your time and thoughts. Each of us are valued, even though it's never pleasant when it's not a 5-0 vote. All your opinions are very much valued, and thank you for sharing your thoughts. As we move forward, item 9B is the presentation of possible action on adopting an investment policy and the implementation of a proposed investment strategy for idle city funds. Presenting staff member is Manuel Roscoe, the Finance Director and City Treasurer.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor, City Manager, and council members. Tonight I'm bringing before you this staff report presenting two things. The first is to introduce and possibly adopt the investment policy for idle funds in the city, and the second is to introduce and approve an investment strategy currently being considered in Exhibit A. The reason why I bring this up now is for consideration is that we currently have over $4 million in idle funds sitting aside in our U.S. bank account, which is currently not invested. Because of this, the current inflation rate being 9.1%, 9.1%, it is implied that over 350,000 of our purchasing power has been lost since last year at around this time. Now, thankfully, the current CPI is actually at 8.5%, so that's good. It's a little bit of a slowing down in the inflation rate, but it still means that as we continue to move forward, we will continue to lose purchasing power of our current idle funds that are in the U.S. bank. And the interesting thing about this whole thing, the reason also why I bring up the investment policy is that our policy, as it reads now, has staff going to council to enact an investment of actual funds after they mature. But given the limitations of how the Brown Act works, it's almost next to impossible to accurately provide you with a listing of available funds because the investment window is so small. And additionally, Government Section Code 53600 states that our statutory limits need to be affirmed, and that's what this policy will do. Additionally, in the new policy, I have a delegation of authority so as to enact investments consistent with the investment strategy as we submitted in Exhibit A. And we will then give updates on a quarterly basis to the Finance Committee and also to Council. And so with that, I'm trying to get our funds working for us and not sitting idle in an account where they consistently lose their power and our ability to provide services within the community itself. So that's my pitch for the moment. And I sent in a Exhibit A showing our investment strategy. If you can move over to that, Dolores, and share the screen. So in the overview, one of the factors I looked at. Oh, that's interesting. I kind of went off. The inverted yield curve is slightly off in that showing right there. But basically, what it is I looked at what was going on within the economy now, and we currently are in an inverted yield curve at the moment, which means that it's a reaction to the market of the short-term hikes, and it's a hedge against the Fed's ability to try and curb the inflation rate. And what it is they're thinking it's a hot market, and so what they're doing is they're raising interest rates in order to be able to curb the hyper spending that's going on. And the market is responding by saying, no, we believe that actually things are going to go for a future economic downturn. And so an inverted yield curve implies an economic downturn, and it has predicted the last 8 economic downturns in recent history. So if you go to page 2, you can see that our 2-year and our 10-year is what is inverted right now. Stop right there. Go back up. So this graph right here shows the inverted yield curve. You'll see that the arrow underneath in blue is showing the 2 and the 10. The interesting thing about this is that it's actually stronger than it was back in 2006. And 2006 was actually the precursor to the 2008 economic recession, the downturn at that point in time. So at the moment, our proposed strategy is to invest idle funds in a short-term bond or CD yield. And instead of going for 5 years, we're going to go for 3 because it locks up our funding after 5 years, and we get less in our interest rates as we would come back to it. So I would like to see, and plus that we also want to be able to keep our liquidity down just in case, or up, just in case something happens and we need the funding quickly. So my suggestion is to invest about half of it to get that moving, so we have it working for us. And I hope to do it in both half of it in bond and half of it in CDs. If you scroll down, these are the CDs in bonds that were available as of, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. And I don't think they're available now. We'll try for them, but we will try and get investments that are in kind like this, kind of like this. So that's going to be us moving forward. We're going to be wanting to invest in as much as we can within the CDs so that they have 2 and a 3 year, and our bonds are also going 1 to 2 to 3 years, laddering it up so that as they mature, we will then see what we can do with them at that point. And with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Let me, if I can just jump in here to add some
still keep any funds in LAIF, or is all of this just in this bond market?
Yes, we do have some funds in LAIF right now. Current amount, I haven't received the most recent amount yet, or balance of it yet. I can get that to you soon. But yes, we do have a significant amount of funds in LAIF, and they currently yield approximately, I believe, 1.8% at the moment, which is a lot better than what it has been in the past.
Okay, I'm just curious. I guess my district likes just.
Yeah, and yeah.
That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Connie?
Thank you. Thank you, Manny, for this presentation. I have a couple of questions for you on the policy that you have provided.
Mm-hmm.
Section 8, letter E, says the investments detailed in items E through K. I believe that's supposed to be F through K. Is that correct? Just for clarity.
E through K. Yeah, F through K. Sorry about that.
Okay. And then item number L there, California Asset Management Program, doesn't have any additional information. Like under the U.S. Treasury bills in number A, you explained what percentage of the portfolio could be invested in this category. But I don't really know what the California Asset Management Program is, and I wasn't sure if there was some kind of indication of what percentage of the portfolio could be invested there. Is there any additional information you can provide?
Right now, I think that particular, so that was kind of boilerplate language that was applied into there, and that's part of that. I don't recall it being, the California Asset Management Program usually is things like LAIF and SCIP and things like that, if I remember correctly. And so, or it's, there are also other funding programs such as like a extra benefit item, and we used to have something called SCIP over in Sonoma County. It's a Sonoma County investment pool. That's one of them. There's a couple of others. I can't remember what they're called exactly right now. I think they're called 1115 waivers or something like that. I can get you more information on that.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you. And then my final question is, do we have the next Finance Committee meeting scheduled?
I asked Dolores, I believe, yesterday or the day before. I can't remember which. Been so much things have happened since then. But to go and check your guys' schedules and make sure that we can get one going by the end of this month, and then another one going by the end or the middle of October, so that you get an update relatively soon, and then we still then go into a normal quarterly meeting schedule.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Councilmember Straub?
Yes, just wanted to clarify that obviously if we've had these idle funds for, in some case, over a year, and they've been basically getting no interest, the ones in LAIF are getting 1.8 roughly now, and the ones that we're talking about going into now would be getting 3-ish%. We're not going to keep up with inflation. But we are going to get way better than zero. So that I think this is a very good step forward. The amount that you said that we had essentially lost by not reinvesting that idle cash, was that based on if we had gotten 9%, or was it based on if we had invested at the current kind of returns that are safe and secure?
If we had gotten 9%, it technically was taking that 9%, and all the funds that were idle as of June of last year to June of this year, that 9% is, I took that 9% out and that makes the $350,000.
Okay, so we're never going to recoup that, obviously, but we're not going to keep up with inflation, but we are at least going to make a dent in it and get some return. So Thank you so much for bringing this up to us.
We actually do have a plan, and that's taking Manny down to Vegas for a weekend.
I do really good in the craps tables.
implement the proposed investment strategy for idle city funds. Councilmember Strong?
I will so move, and I believe, do we need to have two separate votes? There's the policy, and then there's the implementation strategy, or can we do it in one vote for both?
It's stated as one. Jim, is there any objection to one? Is there a need for two?
Give it to Jim.
Oh, sorry, I don't see that there is a need for two.
Okay, well then I move both items.
Gonzalez, they're connected. Gonzalez,
All right, we have a motion from Strong to approve both items and a second from Councilmember Gonzalez. Thank you, both of you. Do we have any members of the public that would like to address us on this agenda item? All right, any further comments or questions from council? Thank you both, Connie and Strong, for your good questions. Always appreciated. All right, I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Strong,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
yes.
Stransky,
Yes.
Connie,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Moving on to the department monthly reports. Up first is the airport. Turn it over to Kathy Warren.
The reports, Madam Mayor, are presented at the second monthly meeting.
You are so correct. Thank you very much.
But this one from the airport is still in place and functioning. That's our report for the airport.
So I'll ask you, City Manager Bender, are there any departments that need to add anything this evening?
I don't think so. I think there's some staff members, and I'll give them the opportunity if they want to offer any information prior to 2 weeks. But we weren't prepared for anything, so.
No worries. Thank you. All right. Moving on to City Council announcements, communications, and reports. Vice Mayor Connie, do you have anything for us this evening?
I do, thank you. I attended the Museum Advisory Board meeting this morning via Zoom. It was a very upbeat meeting. The museum is functioning and open and has not been shut by the county. They were all very excited about that. They were also happy to report that they have had an uptick in attendance and therefore revenue. So the community is definitely showing its support of the museum, which feels great to the staff there. I expressed to them comments that I had heard from City Manager Bender that the City of Willits is firmly behind the museum, proud to have them as a partner here in our city, and that we are hopeful that going forward the county will stop dangling them as a possible easy target in future budget discussions. They mean a lot to our community and to the county as a whole. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I have a meeting next week for MCOG, and that is all I have.
All right. Councilmember Larry Stransky.
I have nothing, but I would like to bring a little something up that concerns me. And I don't know if this is the right time to do it or not, but I'm going to bring it out anyhow. I recently have a step-granddaughter that is coming in to live with us, and we went over to Brookside School today, which we did with our children, which are now 50 and 60, and they could play on the equipment, and now you can't do that anymore at Brookside School. And so they went down to the city park, because that was the first thing out of my mouth when they came down, and they said that there's the bigger kids that control the area, and a little person like a 3-year-old or 4-year-old can't compete with it. And so I think that there's probably other parents or grandparents or whatever out there, and I think that this is something that we really ought to look at. if this is really what is happening, and I'm going to start watching it every day and see if that's really true, because a 3-year-old certainly can't swing or anything if there's somebody in there that's swinging big and high and whatever. They just don't do it. So I just thought I'd bring that up, and I was surprised at the school not opening it up, because where they came from in Pittsburgh, they could play on any of the playgrounds where the kids, even though it was summer vacation, that you could swing or whatever that was there, slide on the slides and stuff. But here in Willits, they cannot do that, and I was surprised. Thank you, that's all.
All right, Larry, just so you know, public school starts on August 22nd, so that should create some availability at the city parks. All right, thank you. Councilmember Gonzalez?
Larry, I just wanted to tell you that there is summer school going on right now, so many need it during the day. That's probably why. Also, I guess I'll be attending the housing summit on the 25th. Kaya, and then I have the League of Cities Redwood Vision meeting on the 19th. That'll be in Point Arena, so more to report from that.
And Councilmember Gonzalez, I got an email saying that you and I are confirmed for the housing summit. Is that on your calendar as well?
That's the one I was talking about, the housing summit.
Okay, just confirming that they were looking for 2 of us, that is a fact us. Okay. Was there any other council members that wanted to attend that housing summit? Okay, it'll stay Jerry and I then. Council Member Strong?
Yes, thank you. So on my various committees, I don't remember if I said this last meeting, but I did go to the Sonoma Clean Power Advanced Energy Center in Santa Rosa about 3 weeks ago, I think. If I didn't report that, if anyone is in Santa Rosa and has a free hour, it's a fascinating, they'll give you a tour. It's got a wonderful array of ways people can save money by electrifying, getting off of fossil fuels, and also save electricity at the same time, save money. So that was one thing. And then tomorrow is a meeting of the Economic Development Finance Committee meeting at 2 o'clock by Zoom. And there's a couple of loans coming up there, and things are going well. On Thursday the 18th, there's a meeting of the Mendocino Solid Waste Management Authority, and there's an item on the agenda that has to do with the transitioning of the services to a private hauler. And I think I'm also going to ask John Haschek at that meeting about the Brook Trails trash problem that Greta mentioned last meeting. One other item on this was that I would like to ask if we can agendize the flavored tobacco ordinance and get it into a public agendized item so we can hear from people and the pros and cons and decide whether we want to adopt or not. I don't know. I know we've heard from them, several times, and it seems to me it's timely now to put that on an agenda.
All right, do we have any support for placing the ordinance on the agenda? It appears there isn't any support for the ordinance itself. Match, I did express that, for example, I was unable to discuss the matter with you because we do have the Brown Act, and I had already discussed the matter with another council member. And so I would be willing to support if we brought it forth on the agenda for informational purposes so that maybe council could have the opportunity to express the concerns that they have or ask questions, but not necessarily
public conversation, and then, you know, if we decide that we like the idea, then we can make sure that the ordinance says what we want to have it say. But sure, that's forward action.
Okay, and then Councilmember Gonzalez, did I see a nod from you that you like that idea as well?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so we're giving direction to City Manager Bender to bring it forward as an informational piece for public, for council for discussion, and then if we so choose, we can put it on a future agenda. Does that sound like consensus?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I have an item I'd like to follow up with Member Strong with her comments.
Sure, go ahead.
I know you kept me in the loop of what's happening with Mendocino Solid Waste and Recycle with their potential transfer or reorientation of their organization. Should the council be, should the city or the council be sending any correspondence to their organization acknowledging this change and make sure there's no drop in services? This was a reminder, or ask them to, once the transfer of organization structure has taken place, to come back to the city council with just confirmation of what they're going to provide through the agreements or the agreement.
Good point. I believe that if we enter into a contract or propose to enter into a contract, I believe all four entities that compose the joint powers for the solid waste management would have to have it on their agenda and approve. I'm pretty sure that's the case. We have bylaws that sort of allow for this, but I think it's a significant change in how the operation would be going, and so I'm pretty sure that has to be agendized, but we're not there yet. We don't have an item to bring to the agenda. If anybody has concerns that they want to just voice, to solid waste management, please let me know that. But I think at this point we're not ready for a formal review.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor Connie?
Thank you. I had a couple of comments in response, Madge, to your update. I have heard from a couple of constituents who are very concerned about not having the hazardous waste days. They have cans of paint and things like that they've been trying to get rid of, and those dates have been canceled. So there is a level of frustration there. I've recommended to people that the California Cleanup Day for the Willits area will be taking place, but that's not until next year. So anything that you can do to convey to the MSWA board that the hope for those hazardous waste pickup days to be reinstituted quickly would be appreciated by members of the Willits community. The other comment I wanted to make is that I did have a meeting last week with Supervisor Haschek, Howard DeShiel from County DOT, and Tamara Alanis from the Brook Trails Township. And there is some forward motion on the cleanup and potential closing of those cul-de-sacs up there. So I'm happy to discuss those with you outside of council meetings, since it's not a Willits per se issue. But just to let you know, Supervisor Haschek is aware of it and has been working to help us resolve that issue.
Great, thank you. I believe that a lot of those hazardous waste that used to be scheduled, in Fort Bragg and Willits, and sometimes I think even in Point Arena, they have not had the staff to be able to do that those remote sites, but they are open and people can go to Ukiah to do that. And it's not convenient, it's terrible, and I know that everybody's aware of that. We'll try to see what we can do to rectify that. Thank you, though, for the comment.
Anything further for you this evening, Madge?
Under good and welfare?
Well, I'll give my council member report, and then I hope you have some good and welfare for us. I'd love that. None of my commissions or committees have met, but I did have the opportunity today. Last time I was in Sacramento, I met with Senator McGuire, and we set up a follow-up meeting in particular to talk about water and trying to discussing resiliency our neighbors in need of water as well. So that's something that we'll be exploring further. We talked a lot about housing, our need for annexation, and he wanted to know how things were coming with our general plan update. And I told him to please send investors our way. He was curious how much housing potential we've had in the area. In terms of investors that might be interested in exploring investments in our area. And then we ended up talking pretty significantly about businesses and the economy. And one thing that kind of stood out to me is he stated that there's going to be a disbursement of $9.5 billion during fourth quarter. And that was very strategic in helping to boost sales tax for small businesses. And the way it would roll out is similar to what we've seen before, where families, single person making $75,000 and families with, for example, 2 children and 2 adults in the family making up to $150,000 would see a check of approximately $1,200. So checks will be coming out in the fall between the range of $350 to $1,200. So I thought that was interesting and helpful. And just lots of conversation about economic development, wanting to know how we can help small businesses. I expressed that the city had received a CDBG grant to support small businesses and how we'd like to see more of that type of support in other ways that we can help support our economy locally. And we talked about tourism pretty significantly and how it's affected Willits and how it's affected others at the state level. And then he asked about homelessness, because homelessness is one of the top 3 topics. As he talks to mayors from each of the cities, homelessness is at the top of their concerns. And fortunately for us, homelessness is not at the top. It is a concern for us, but it's not in our top 3. So we are fortunate in that way. And I think that's all I have to report this evening. I'll turn it over to Madge for Councilmember Strong for some good welfare this evening.
Thank you. Well, I know millions of people have already gone this way, and I thought I might never be there, but I am a grandma. My daughter had a baby boy on July 30th. His name is Owen, and he's healthy, and everybody's really thrilled. Been a little challenging. Medical things were a roller coaster, but he's thriving. Thank you.
Congratulations, Matt.